So we're in this series called You Matter. And it's actually a series all about the 10 Commandments. Time out. Because what I want to tell you is that the reason I'm doing a series on the 10 Commandments is because the thing that you thought when I told you we were doing a series on the 10 Commandments, immediately you thought, this is going to be boring. Which actually isn't true. This series is going to be exciting, it's going to be inspiring, encouraging, it's going to change your perspective, which obviously has a chance to change your life. So what is it that makes us think the minute that we hear somebody say, hey, we're doing a series, we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments, that makes us think, that's lame? And the nearest that I can tell is in all my years in reading the Bible, studying the Bible, teaching the Bible, what I find is that there's a default setting amongst so many people, even those who have been in church for years and years and years, that we kind of look at God as a wrecker of fun. He wrecks our fun, or a taker of joy. And I want you to think about that for a second, because if God is a wrecker of fun and a taker of joy, well then his commandments are the means by which he wrecks our fun and he takes our joy. So why would anyone want to learn that? And when we teach that way, when we believe that way, when we kind of just accept that way of thinking, that God is a wrecker of fun and a taker of joy, we make it seem like faith and fun become mutually exclusive. So you need to choose. And some people choose faith over fun. And these are the people that say, man, there's so many things that I want to do. There are so many fun things that I would love to do, so much joy that I would love to pursue, but I can't. I can't because I'm a Christian. And I'm white-knuckling my way through life because I'm really scared that if I do those things, God's going to be mad at me, and that's my life. Isn't that inspiring? And then you get other people who choose fun over faith. They say, look, I believe in God and everything, but I've kind of done a pros and cons list, and I figured out that, really, I just don't want to miss out on all the awesome things that I want to do. So I'm just going to do what I want to do and let the chips fall where they may. And it's really such a false dichotomy. Like in all my life in teaching the Bible, in studying the Bible, in reading the Bible, in living for Jesus, I've never found that faith and fun are mutually exclusive. In fact, what I've found is that God is not a wrecker of fun. God is actually a bringer of blessing. That God isn't a taker of joy. He's a giver. He gives us purpose. He gives us strength. He gives us hope. God is a giver. And yet, when I say to you, man, we're going to do a series on the 10 Commandments, for so many of us, we look and we go, no. There's a perception out there that God is a wrecker of fun and a taker of joy. And I wonder why that is. See, I think part of it is that too many people have been in too close a proximity to legalistic Christians. And for a legalistic Christian, they really want to portray God as a wrecker of fun and a taker of joy. There's something inside of a legalistic Christian that wants to believe, hey, not anybody could do this. Like, I'm white-knuckling my way through life. Do you know that? Like, God's a wrecker of fun, and I'm not having any fun. God's a taker of joy, and I've turned my back on all joy. Not too many people could do this. There's something just about me, the few, the proud, the legalistic. And here's the thing. So you got this whole world of people that desperately need to know that God loves them and has a plan for their lives, and he's a bringer of blessing, but they've been surrounded by people who have convinced them that he's a wrecker of fun, and you go to them and you say, God loves you and has a plan for your life, and they press delete. For so many of us in this world, even we've been into church for a long time, we see God like that. Like he's given us these laws and these commandments and these decrees, and he wants us to get it wrong. He wants to make us run until we throw up. He wants to punish us. And while I am not arguing that God will allow us at times to face the consequences of our dumb decisions so that we grow, I maintain to you that in my life of studying the Bible, of living for Jesus, I have found that he is not a wrecker of fun. In fact, he is a bringer of blessing. You matter to God. I would take that a step further and I would say, your freedom matters to God. He's not a wrecker of fun. Listen to what Psalm 145 says. It says this, the Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made. Who is he? He's gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. He's a bringer of blessing. And so when we look at the 10 Commandments, listen to me, we have a tendency, if we've been around too many legalistic people, we have a tendency to look at the commandment and says, well, this is the means by which God takes my joy. This is the means by which God wrecks my fun. But I would suggest to you today that if you really study the Bible, if you live for Jesus, what you will find is that his commandments are not injunctions against fun. In fact, what they are is invitations to be blessed. So here's commandment number 1, the first of the 10 commandments. No other gods, only me. Because your freedom matters. Your freedom matters. Henry Nouwen said it this way. He said, for every one of us, there's a throne in our lives. And God is meant to be seated in the throne of your life. First place, driving force, the why behind your what's. That throne of your life is meant to be God's seat. But if God's not first place, Henry Nouwen says, that eventually you will fill that throne with one of 3 things. What you have, what you do, or what people think about you. And what the problem with that is that it will lead you into a place of bondage. A place where you're wanting and wanting and wanting and wanting and never getting enough. Longing and longing and longing and never being fulfilled. Isn't that the definition of bondage? That the thing that you want the most is outside of your grasp. Jesus said it this way, seek God's kingdom first, and everything else will fall into line. Your freedom matters. God's not a wrecker of fun. He's a bringer of blessing. And he says this, no other gods, only me. Why? Because your freedom matters. The problem, God says, is when you try to make a good thing into a God thing, you end up in a place of bondage. Because you're going to be wanting and wanting and wanting and wanting, and it's never going to be enough. Longing and longing without fulfillment, that's bondage, and your freedom matters. So God says, no other gods, only me. Put me first, and everything else will fall into line. Step 1, God loves me. Step 2, God's for me. Step 3, whatever. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says it this way. If you trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, he'll direct your path, whatever. It's all good. There'll be ups and downs, there'll be twists and turns, but he's good and he's for you. Your freedom matters. He's a bringer of blessing and he cares. Other than that, I want to tell you, wherever you're at, let's have an open-handed posture. Let's remember, God loves you. You matter. Your freedom matters, and you're walking into it as you trust him day by day. I love you, and we'll see you next week.